Coming to the stage.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate you guys coming out on a Saturday. This fair came together from a whole bunch of startups that are San Diego based, and as well as organizers, Evo Nexus being a big part of this, but really also want to thank UC San Diego, who none of them are in the room at the time, but for giving us this space. It's so generous of them to open it up and allow us to host this like this. So we look forward to doing these more often. Look for one in June during the next startup week as well. And hope you guys have a great day. And I'll leave it over to the panel and Austin to kick it off.
Hey guys, I'm Austin, one of the co-founders of Startup San Diego, and one of the organizers of this cluster of events that we're calling Startup Convergence. If you guys don't know, there's been a string of events. Was anyone here at Domain Hours, Poker Night, the Startup Crawl, any other events yesterday, the day before? Okay, we got one back there. One. Okay, well, they're awesome. It's too bad you guys missed out. Luckily, there's a string of events after this event, and I will tell you about that in a second. Today, what we're going to do is start this off with a panel about how to have a successful internship. Okay, so today we have both past interns, raise your hand guys, and we have companies that are currently hiring interns, okay? And they're going to tell you about their experience with interns, what it takes to do a good job, what it takes as a company, what we're looking for. And so I would just try to keep a keen ear and then get your questions ready because I want this to be an interactive session. So with that, let's get started. Let's just start down there with Daniel. Kind of introduce yourself and tell us about.
All right, so I'm Daniel Marashlian. I'm the CTO, that's the Chief Technology Officer at Portfolium. So what we do, hopefully some of you guys have heard of us because we're deployed across your guys' campus. We're an e-portfolio tool to help you guys showcase your best work. So when you're applying for your internships and eventual entry-level positions outside of college, you have something more than your resume to show. And you just went to UCSD and have a 3.9 GPA. Every job that you guys are going to apply for, it's sad to say, there's going to be 1,000 other people just like you. So what we do is to try to have you use Portfolium and showcase your best work here at UCSD and stand out amongst the crowd.
Spencer Hutchins, I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Reflection Health. We're a digital health startup. Hopefully none of you have used our product because we're currently deployed among people that are recovering from total knee and hip replacements. So that was earlier. But what we've done is take some consumer technology popularized in video games, Microsoft's Kinect camera, and use it to build a telerehabilitation platform. So some of you may have gone through physical therapy after surgery and injury. 99% of your recovery happens when you're not face-to-face with your doctor or therapist. And the only thing really failing both the clinicians and the patients, because the only thing we have that allows you to communicate with one another to help structure your exercise program at home, which is critical to the recovery, is photocopied pieces of paper or stick figures that they draw out and say, hey, do these twice a day, 2 sets of 10. No one does them, no one knows how to do them. So we replace that with an interactive application we call Vera, built on Unity's 3D game engine. So it looks to the patient a little bit like a fitness game, but the back end is totally controllable by your clinician. So they're setting your prescription and able to review the results. So we're just moved to downtown. We're about 25 folks. Raised our A round earlier in 2014 and seen a lot of scale, so we're excited.
Yeah, so just tell us who you are, tell us which companies you interned at, and yeah.
Hi, I'm Suwon. I graduated from UCSD in December of 2013. I've had a couple of internships with different startups, along with some of their bigger companies like Scripps Institution of Oceanography. Currently, I'm consulting full-time for different startup companies around the town, and I'm here to share my experience and how to get a successful internship.
Hi everybody, I'm Brian. I'm still a student here at UCSD. I'm a 4th-year computer science major. So I came into college looking for my first experience just in the workplace, and so I actually found Reflection Health as my first internship, and I came in as a tester, and it was probably the best thing that has happened to me in my school and career. So I started off just helping them test their software. I was doing a bunch of squats and prototype of an application. I've been with them for over 2 years now, and it's crazy how far they've gone from like 5 employees to 25 now, and it's just the best experience I've had. I've been working with the best mentors, and yeah, it's been just a great experience.
Hello everyone, my name is Carlo Concelli. I'm a third-year student here at UCSD, and I've had a previous internship experience with Portfolio. I began my experience with Portfolio last summer. I casually met them at a career fair where they were still at first stages advertising the platform. And it's been a very, very productive experience and a very good learning experience, I think, both for me and for them. And I will talk more about that in a few minutes.
Great. I'll ask the company, so Daniel Spencer, what makes for a good intern? What are you looking for when you're hiring an intern?
Sure, I'll start. I'll approach it from 2 different angles, because I'm definitely on the technology side of our company. And then there's some stuff that Carlo did that was more on the marketing and business side, so maybe cover both. So from a technology perspective, especially for younger companies in town, like us, even though they have 25 employees, you have to imagine that might be big. They raised a lot of money, they have a lot of progress, but they're still a young company compared to Sony or Qualcomm. So when you guys want to go get a job at Google or SpaceX or Qualcomm, things like that, you have to imagine they have huge internship programs already in place, people to manage it and attract for you guys to get experience into their company. When you work for younger companies like ours that are in their earlier stages, what you're going to really find is that we need people that are above bar and above par of what you guys are studying in school. And that's what I really look for, is that people that have the initiative and take more than just their classwork, is that you're going online and figuring out, and this is again on the technology side, you're figuring out how to write PHP or Ruby or JavaScript, things like that you don't really learn in school. Because that's the real world, especially in the web world that we kind of live in, is this back and forth communication over the internet, is that you need to understand how the internet works, how to work in teams using source control with your code. And so all those little things add up in the industry, and that's what we really look for, is people that, it's like you guys are studying these amazing things. I mean, I have a computer science degree as well, and so I've gone through your guys', I've been in your shoes, and like you learn amazing things in theory, but then it's taking it one step further and figuring out how to make a little blog on your own. Don't just download WordPress and set something up on Blogger. Go figure out how to write to a database and design it and make it look pretty and things like that. Just for fun, right? It doesn't need to be a business or product. So that's what I look for when we hire, is people that can take the initiative. Because there's not going to just be, and I'm sure, as you can attest, sure, we might hire a tester at first, but then we're going to need someone to, I don't know, like manage the product or write this little JavaScript or marketing page or things like that. And in a startup and young company, things are going to come up not just to your one particular job. It's going to be adding to the whole. Then on the business side, it's more marketing that we hired Carlo for. Is there's just so much stuff to do as a young company trying to actually get your product into the hands of people that sometimes it's just hard for one person. Right now, we have one person leading up marketing. We need to be able to divvy out tasks and have them understand the market and what we're trying to build, and understand social media, Facebook ads, Google ads, and understand how to not just put an advertisement out there, but is your ad spending money, and how does it reflect back to the company and getting new users and getting people onboarded. So that was a lot that was a lot of information, but really what that means in one sentence is we're really looking for people that can just go beyond the classroom.
Yeah, I think that's a huge, totally agree with Daniel on that. I think you all are among a generation that's in many ways the most exciting and most demanding on yourselves for what you can prove to early companies, right? Because it is possible for you to have done that. You have played around with stuff. And so I think certainly demonstrating that you've actually created things, and it doesn't at all need to be a product or have anything to do with what we did, but the demonstration that you have that sort of competency and capabilities and thirst for learning, right, that is required to have done stuff out of a class. I also think that we look a lot for people that have intense passion, that get obsessed about things. Some of the times it can be us, specifically, right? We certainly have people that have joined the company because they've had some terrible, our chief of product, broke his back and went through an excruciatingly long PT process. But it doesn't have to be that. It has to be people that just fall in love with stuff and become obsessed with it, or maybe that's a bad word, but focused on it and driven to really drive results. And I think sort of making that come out, and it could have been some volunteer work you've done, it could have been something that has nothing to do with maybe the programming job you're applying for, the design job you're applying for, but that demonstration that you sort of are someone that jumps right in. I also think success, completely agree about this not really having programs. We've tried to get more systematic. When I think back, we've had some real success stories like Brian, who now writes a lot of production code in our API, is really driving and having grown from having been a tester. What we do, people that are successful with us, and I think it'll be true with most startups, is you have to be good with uncertainty and chaos, because sort of like we do our best to try to give you a task, but I'm quite sure that task changes many times because sort of like whatever the top priority is. That said, your comfort with chaos, you also have to bring structure to it, right? So you have to understand, okay, these are 12 things I just got asked by 5 different people to do today. I bet they have no idea that they all asked me to do something separate, right? What's most important? How do I do that? How do I communicate? Because you can be comfortable, but you can't roll with the punches so much that you end the summer or whatever period you were doing not having actually done anything or built anything. Because there's a little bit of that. We don't have an intern coordinator that's checking in reliably every 2 weeks to sort of say, hey, did you accomplish your tasks, or that sort of stuff. And so the people that are comfortable with it can embrace it and bring structure to that chaos, I think, do really, really well, and find ways to demonstrate how they can be helpful and do more and more higher value work.
Yeah, let's break this up a little bit. So let me just poll the audience. I just want to get a sense of who's here. So how many students are UCSD students? Raise your hand. Okay, a lot of UCSD students, great. How many SDSU students? Welcome. USD? Awesome. And other schools? Okay, thanks for coming out. That's awesome. How many of you are freshmen? We're going to do this fast. Freshmen? Sophomores? Juniors? Seniors? Cool, that's a good mix. How many people want to be entrepreneurs themselves once they graduate sometime down the road? Okay, great, that's great. I just want to move quickly to the interns, and I want it's like lightning round now, okay? Here we go. Suwon, I think you didn't say which companies you interned for. You said you interned for companies.
Okay, so I interned for a data company called Diggin. I interned for a Rock My Run, which is a health app that matches your body to your music. They're over there today. I also interned for Enfer, which is like Match.com for clinical trials.
Which one was the best? I'm just kidding.
Did you ask that question? I also interned for a small clean tech company, which they're not around anymore. So, I did 4. So the statistic is that 1 out of 10 should succeed. So I'm well on my way to it.
Your next internship is free.
What?
Your punch card.
Well, yeah, punched.
Okay. So Carlo, I know that you've worked both at, correct me if I'm wrong here, big company and startup. Is that right? Okay, I'm sorry, Brian. Oh, Brian. I'm sorry. Can you tell me a little about the difference between the two?
Yeah, so I worked at Reflection first, and then I got an offer to work at PlayStation as well. I ran off to PlayStation and ran back to Reflection.
Yeah, why? Tell us why.
Well, so the reason why I went to PlayStation was I've been working at Reflection for my whole college career, and so on my resume it was kind of hard. It was kind of hard to just like fill up the whole page with Reflection, even though I've worked with much more than a page worth of stuff at Reflection. So I kind of wanted a little variety. I was hesitant to leave, and you can ask Spencer that. I was really hesitant to leave. But I thought that it could have been, it had to have been a different and new opportunity for me. So I left Reflection and went to PlayStation. which was also a good experience. It was just that Reflection was so good of an experience that it made PlayStation seem like a not so great experience for me. Reflection was hardworking, but they like to have a lot of fun, and so they will have hallway banter all the time. Sports, lunchtime is just anything not work. They just talk about current events, anything. Every Fridays they bust out the beers early on Friday.
Only if you're 21.
Yeah.
Affirmation from everybody.
And then so lunch, everybody just goes out. It's like a really just a family type of environment. And then at PlayStation, I learned as well as I did at Reflection. Not as much as I did at Reflection, not as fast as I did at Reflection, but their culture was just a lot more different. It's very they came in. I came in. They were like, wow, this place is like a startup and everything. They're very hierarchical. Spencer, actually, when I came in, I was a little scared to talk to him because he's like the CEO, but he treats everybody the same way. He treats the interns the way he treats everybody else. He talks to you with the utmost respect, and then so the director at PlayStation didn't even look my way. He never introduced himself to me, and he was kind of just there, and so it was just a different environment there. And then on top of that, just like the learning at Reflection, which is ridiculous how I learned so quickly there, because my mentors they didn't micromanage me. They didn't they weren't overbearing, but they were just always there. They just Kevin, my mentor now, he just rolls his seat over to me every like 30 minutes when he's not busy. He's like, "What's up? How can I help you?" And it's just really nice.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Carl a question. I'm gonna ask one or two more questions, but I'm just gonna forewarn you that I reserve the right during the questions to point at you if you have to have a question. Okay? So what that means is you better start thinking about a question right now. Okay, Carlo, did you do your internship while at school, in the summer only? When did you do it?
I did it in the summer and while at school.
Okay, how did you balance kind of workload at school while working at the company?
Well, it definitely requires a lot of time management skills, so I'm grateful in some sense of having worked during while taking classes, because like a very important experience in some sense, because you have different responsibilities not only as a student but also as an intern. And I think my particular experience was very compatible with what like my student tasks, because my goal was to promoting the platform among students particularly. So it created a lot of nice opportunity to kind of advertise the platform like during lectures or during career fairs. So it was really compatible in some sense.
Great. Well, what was the specific project that you worked on when you were at that?
Well, I think the biggest project that I worked on was trying to this student kind of driven marketing campaign. What I created was it's called the Campus Founder Program, which it's somehow similar to like a campus brand ambassador type of thing, but you have more independence and more like, you're not like supervised, you don't have like a series of tasks or a series of events that you need to attend, but it's really up to you what you want to put into it. So my contribution in a sense was to help them define the program, like what criteria like new campus founders should follow to kind of succeed in promoting the portfolio, and just kind of like brainstorming with them like what activities and just like hands-on, just kind of really like coming out with these events or like these things that could do to sort of like get students more interested in the platform.
Great. I'm going to give you guys just like a final word each. Like if it can be just a couple sentences, something that you really wanted to say. Daniel, can I start with you?
Yeah. I would say, speaking from your guys' perspective, make sure that you're a good fit for the company and the company is a good fit for you. That's how I've always taken my career, is that I'm not just you know, working for a company to get a job is that the company is a good fit for me. And that, yeah. So it's just, you know, you want to enjoy your day-to-day life and work and passion of what you're building. It makes life a lot more fun.
Yeah, I'd say use the time in college, and so many of you have a lot of it left, to really find what you're passionate about. We were really sad to see Brian leave when he left for PlayStation, but at the same time, you know, he got an opportunity now to sort of understand the spectrum, and I think, you know, for some folks working in a big company would have been the right thing. And so use that to both have great experiences and learn what it is you love. And I think it's right that, you know, I'm a big believer that you will be successful where it's a great fit for you and where you're passionate about. So find that. It's not necessarily a startup, or it's not necessarily our startup, but find it because that is where you'll be the most successful and have the most fun.
I don't know what people define successful internship. I kind of struggled with it before I came here because I don't really know what that looks like. If somebody were to say successful internship means that you get a paid job at the end of the internship. Fortunately for me, I've always had that, but that wasn't my ultimate goal. I think I was able to have a successful internship at all of the jobs that I had because I was very transparent about my personal goals and my professional goals, and I intentionally very much seeked out who I wanted to work with. I'm very selective when it comes to people that I want to learn from because advices are free. Like, this is free, you don't have to take it, and you can take it if you want to, but I believe that working for great people and believing in the vision helps both myself and the company. And if it's a startup company, you know, doing something that's best for the company means that you're doing something that's best for you. And that's how I've always worked. That's how I will continue to work until it proves me otherwise. And, you know, I'm just saying, you know, be transparent about your goals. Even if you don't know what you're really doing, or, you know, unless you're an engineer or you want to become a doctor or something, no offense. But I mean, I'm not an engineer, so I didn't know what I really wanted to do. So I was really honest about it. I was transparent about it. And I think that's why I was able to have this. And I'm very fortunate. So that would be my advice.
It's just that most people that I've noticed at career fairs have just flocked to all the big companies where there's startups like Reflection just sitting right there, and you just have to realize that startups are just as can be just as useful for you as these big companies are. They're a small group with so many responsibilities, and they're running that uphill battle to like get to where all these big companies are. They're more passionate, and so if you're part of that, you're learning much more because you're running that uphill battle with them. And so there's just more like responsibilities that you take on, which could be harder, and but you just learn so much more with all these responsibilities that they just give you.
Well, in my opinion, I think you should consider an internship with a startup just like a class that is not graded, but can be the biggest educative experience that you can have in college. So like it's not about just doing your job to pass the class, it is about doing the extra work, because taking that extra step is what makes the rest of the team really see your potential and what makes you have the largest impact in the company. And at the end is what is really like the rewarding and educative experience. So I think the biggest advantage of interning with a startup company is that you can really have the chance to shine and really have the chance to sort of make the difference, see your contribution really making being part of the team and being making a large impact. So
It's great. It's good. So I'd like to open up to questions, and if there aren't any questions, I'm going to point to you. You're going to have a question. So, are there any questions? Young lady in the front, do you have a question?
I do. How did you guys find your internships?
I found mine on the UCSD website for engineering students to go on. It's like a little job bulletin. I was going into my second year, and I was like desperately looking for just anything to just get my foot in the door, and that's how I found Reflection.
So what's the best thing that you learned as a student? I mean, was it something that you expected, or was it something that you had no idea about that kind of like took you in a new direction?
So with reflection, the best thing I think I learned was that there is just so much trial and error with the startup, and just going through that process with them and seeing them grow is just like an intangible that you don't really learn at school or at a big company, because you don't see them fail at something and then come back stronger every single time. And this happens so much with reflection, where they just have gone through like maybe like three prototypes already in the last 2 years, and just keep running with it. And it's been great.
To answer Michelle's question, I found my internships by going to Pitch Fest, and what I do after that is I start Googling their names to see if they have any lawsuits against them. Because you don't know. I mean, I've had experiences where, you know, people did want to work on some business projects together, and then they did have lawsuits against them. So please Google them. It's very crucial. And you know, their social profiles are available, so you can weed out whether or not they align with your personal values. I think that's also very important. And so, but yeah, or I've actually just shown up to their company and just sat until somebody walked in, and I said, that's how I got my internship in New York, where I just sat down in front of the building because they wouldn't even let me go in, and I just sat there with my resume out, and I was like, I'm gonna wait till somebody from this company comes in, and I'm gonna talk to that person, and that's how I talk to them. So do whatever, it works. Yeah.
I think another good thing to look at is Glassdoor, if you guys have ever heard of that site. It just, usually it's reviews from existing or old employees, and kind of get a gauge of the higher level culture of the company.
Yeah. It's a great suggestion. A lot of really early stage startups don't have that yet,
Yeah.
but you're right. I would take a look, especially if how many people are like, and of course no one's going to want to admit this, but how many are recruiting both looking at some big companies and looking at startups? Okay, I expect this is no problem. And yeah, I think that like the trade-offs that you mentioned earlier are great between PlayStation and startups. You really got to find a fit that works for you, right? Like they said earlier, startups are not for everyone. You're kind of expected to be a master of many traits and still deep on like one thing that you're doing.
And Austin, I want to add on to that, because there's different sizes of startup companies. I've worked with 2-people company, I've worked with 4-people company, 15-people company, and that's all different flavors. There's more structure to obviously like more people. So depending on how much responsibility you want to take on, what kind of stuff you want to learn, what industry, there's always going to be a right fit for you if you're looking hard enough.
Yeah.
How many people?
Yeah.
I was going to say,
Please go ahead.
yeah, to add to that, I think it's a great point. One thing that's important is figuring out, you know, and we've made this mistake sometimes when looking for interns. You know, it's if you find someone and no one at the company knows what you kind of want the intern to do, it can be successful. It can be a great experience if the intern, in fact, knows how to do that, because then they get to run the team department, right? Like they're the only decision maker. It can also be a mess because they actually, you know, we don't have a lot of guidance for them. And so that's sort of important to make sure that you feel like that expectation is being met. You know, every time we hire a new role, it's always a joke, because it's like, you know, oh shoot, this is like 4 job descriptions in one, and that happens all the time with interns too. And I think that's a piece of making sure it's the right fit for you, not just whether or not you can get us to sort of, you know, make you an offer. Is, am I going to be set up to succeed here? Are they asking me something that I sort of know about and I've Googled a few times, but I really need the mentorship and oversight of someone? Or is it something that, hey, I'm ready, I'm going to be their first marketing person, I know how to do this, and I'm going to hit the ground, and they're going to have no idea how to do it with me, but I'm going to make it up as I go along.
Okay, so I guess another piece of advice I would give is when I go to internship fairs, what I see all the time is students coming up to me and trying to pitch me on them, right? This is what I see all the time. I actually think this is not as successful as you might think, right? What you want to do is you want to ask really good questions of the company to show that you're kind of really seriously interested in the company. You want them to pitch you, as well as kind of maybe offering up a couple things. So even just in today, I wouldn't come and say, here's my resume, I have a 3.9 GPA, I'm with this, you know, and then just kind of leave it and walk away. That's not very effective. So
you got to have a portfolio.
Yeah. It's actually kind of relevant to how I got my internship with portfolio. I remember because I was this career fair, I think it was the spring career fair of last year, and it was Royce, who was the chief of marketing at portfolio, that it was advertising the platform there, and he just suddenly came by and like asked for my resume, and I started talking about his company. So I didn't say like a word at the beginning, and it was really striking to me because usually like you have to go to these companies, kind of like try to sell yourself, try to like prove them within like 1 minute that you're like worth just like an interview or something like that. Instead, they really just tried to like describe the company to me and like see if I was interested in the product. So I think it's a completely different approach, and I think it can tell to you what like the difference between.
Lee Han Ping, raise your hand. Okay, do you have a question for the panel?
What is that? Give the person a resume and go, that's me.
Okay, it's good enough. You get your wallet back. Okay, any other questions?
I have a question for Spencer. So you obviously grew your company from a smaller company to 25 people company, and when did you take on Brian?
Near the beginning, we were 6 or so.
Okay.
And that was, were you our first intern? I think so. Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's really, I would say, I don't know if this is where you're headed, but there are times in which it's too early or not right.
Right.
We've definitely, we have not batted 1,000 in terms of our sales screening good experiences for interns, and so hopefully, I think we're getting better at it. But yeah, but sort of making sure that the company has a decent idea. Sometimes the workload is so overwhelming at a startup that you decide a way to solve that is with young, bright people that you don't have to pay that much, right? And it's like, well, that's exciting because I can't pay anybody that much. We have too much work. But there's a difference between just sort of generally having too much work and having really thought about whether or not a college student with a certain set of skills it can take on relevant work over a summer, over a semester that can be helpful. And I think that's a good example of sort of testing the startup is you need before, in the process of getting to know us as well as before you accept the job, having that sense of, yeah, you actually have thought about how you can use me. I will be successful and I will add value to your company, right? Because sort of that confidence will make it successful for us, it'll make it successful for you, whether or not it's a job at the end, or if it's just a glowing letter of recommendation and a great set of experiences that you put on your portfolio.
Yeah, like Spencer said, I think everyone has different expectations about a successful internship, and I think that's something important for everyone to think about as you guys look for your summer internships.
More questions? You don't want me to start calling? Yeah.
How applicable and easy to transfer did you guys find the stuff that you had learned in your classes going into the internships? Because it seems like you guys are obviously learning a lot more in these internships, but I'm just curious how easy it is to transfer some of those skills and how much is completely new.
I mean, I guess it really depends what major and like area of study you are. For me personally, nothing that I learned in class was applicable.
And what was your major?
My major is management sciences, so I think I've now come to the realization that management is something that you learn with experience rather than just learning class. So I think in some sense it's a little scary because you don't have like a strong technical background, at least in like my case. So I kind of had to like find my position in some sense, or like find my role within the company. And but that is also a good thing because it forces you to really try to learn something because you want to be useful, right? You want to have a good like an impact in the company. So if there's something that someone has to do, but like the other members of the team don't have time to do, you can like apply your time as a student to kind of like fill that gap and trying to learn maybe that like new language or that technology or how the like website works or something like that. Okay. So I think.
Yeah, I'll just kind of jump on back. I think that Carl made a perfect point there. For undergrad, I did computer science, electrical engineering, and business, and I would say I learned everything working. Like almost none of that I applied. Like almost all of the technical language that I learned in undergrad, like I never used again. I learned new languages, and it really is about, for me, finding a person that's willing to jump aboard, kind of dive in, learn really quickly. And another attribute that I really like in interns is people that see a hurdle. They see this hurdle, they decide, okay, I'm going to reach out, try to get some advice from my mentor. If he can't give me advice right now, I'm going to move past this hurdle and make a smart decision, and then I'll just tell him, I made this decision to keep going. I hope that's okay. And like those are the types of people that are scrappy and just kind of like keep charging forward and learning. I think that really are successful.
I just want to say I studied cognitive science here at UCSD. I started out as an engineering major, did C++, MATLAB. I don't use it anymore. Now I do SQL stuff, which is, I didn't take it in school. But I think, yeah, skills didn't really cross over for me. I just wanted to study what I thought was fun in school. And in workplace, I'm doing what I think is fun. So, and skills are just something that you can learn. There's online courses, but who you are as a person, I think that's more important to develop, so.
Great question. Another question earlier. What time was it?
Back somewhere.
I'll throw one out. So some people I saw in the audience were like aspiring entrepreneurs, so maybe you guys can give some tips on how you got started, or I mean, how if that's what you're interested in, what should you do next as a student?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. This is Portfolio. I can't even count anymore. Probably my 6th company.
You're on your way there too.
Yeah. How about 3 more? Hopefully this is the one of 10.
Right.
Some have been semi-successful, like when you just look at it from a macro perspective. One company we raised $500,000 and, employed a few people and grew the business for a couple years. Never really had an exit. It sits there, and it was awesome though to be able to provide a service to businesses. It was a project management tool. Another company I did, it was, I don't, if you guys used Twitter, maybe before 2010, I built this company called Tweet Photo, and it was later Plixie, and we essentially put photos on Twitter before they did it themselves. So that was a big company. We raised, a bunch of money and sold it, and it was a big deal in the time. So that was, a big win. And then I started a company in EvoNexus that, didn't really do anything, and now I'm with Portfolio. But so there's like all this like vast, different types of businesses, and one in education, one in, photos, one in project management. So all different kinds, but the overall lesson is, as an entrepreneur, it's a lot of work. You're going to learn so much, and the idea is you need to be passionate. Like you want whatever you're working on. Like, so for instance, like I've had to go through physical therapy a couple times. Nothing major, like where I broke my back or something, but I could see, like you were saying, your CEO, your pet product, like he broke his back and went through this awful experience. Like he understands that pain and has that passion to be like, I want to make this better for the world. And that is the #1 entrepreneurial trait, I would say, is you have this passion for what you're building and nothing's going to stop you. And so that's what, I've done in my career is right now, I'm focusing on you guys in Portfolio. And since I've been in your shoes, and I had this weird time in my career with computer science because I went into school in 2000, and that was right before the .com crash. And so when I looked at USA Today, and it was like, what's the #1 paying job? It's computer science. 85 grand a year out of school in 2000. So I was like, cool, I'll do that. I don't even know what computers are really, besides playing games. I'm good at math. And it was a great decision. But then when I graduated in 2004, the .com crash happened, and I came out of school, and not only did you have to have 5 years of experience to get a job, it was only paying $35,000. So there was this like chicken and egg thing. How do you get the experience to make so little money? And so that's, and then I became underemployed, which is what we're trying to fix and help you guys showcase what you do. And so with all that is what I'm trying to say is this passion that, lives inside you through your experiences is, things you try to solve and make better. So.
Yeah, I'd say, I agree, I've been part of a lot of sort of entrepreneurial and early stage endeavors, although Reflection is the first one that I've been a co-founder of. I'd say what makes entrepreneurs successful is just sort of the audacity to keep trying, right? And you gotta find passion because it stinks in the beginning normally because you don't actually have anything, right? You're running around sort of bordering on lying to people about how great your idea is and what you're gonna build and how it's your vision, and then Robbie, my co-founder, and I shared this Wallace and Gromit bit, right, in which they're building the track while they're on the train, and that's what it just feels like for the entire time. That's exhausting, right? It's like, oh my god. And so you sort of gotta love that. And yeah, so I think sort of if you're, it's never too early to just start, right? And it's not like you need to start by saying, okay, this is an idea that I think is venture backable that I'm going to build into a $500 million company, right? It's like, well, you should just start trying it, right? And whether that's a business or project, something that you're going to do, and learn how to build things, learn how to get things off the ground, whether it's technology or organizations or people, and then learn quickly how to learn, right? So as Brian said, we made an enormous number of mistakes, and hopefully I think we're getting better about realizing the mistakes quickly and learning from them, and that's something that you need to really figure out quick if you want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'll share a little of my experience too. When I was in undergrad, I interned at a couple kind of startups and kind of dabbled with stuff myself and kind of failed quickly. And then I ended up getting on the investing side, so I was investing in a lot of early stage companies, so I saw the environment quite clearly. Then, actually a similar path that Spencer took. But then I just kind of started to string it up quickly, right? And I think that you actually learn more sometimes from the failures than you do from the successes, about like what really doesn't work. And so I would recommend that if you're really excited about entrepreneurship, you either just go out and do it, just kind of learn from the mistakes, or you find people that have kind of learned from their own mistakes and learn from them for a little, like piggyback on their errors for a little while. Yeah. The Daniels and the Spencers of the world are great for this. And so, just kind of be there and kind of be present with them, kind of see what they're struggling with, see what their next challenge is, see how they get over hurdles, see the things that they're trying, and then, jump out and do your own thing. So there's no clear path in entrepreneurship, but I think you have to be extremely resilient, because it is a roller coaster. You're going to have horrible times. You're going to have breakups with your co-founders. You're going to have, all sorts of bad stuff. But there's amazing stuff too, where you feel like, I took this thing, I created something for the world, now people use it, like, I feel awesome about that. So you have to have that type of personality that's willing to get through those hurdles. Any other questions? Take one or two more. Yeah.
The reason I like startups and like interning is because I know like the smaller community and the opportunity to talk to like other people in the department. That's why I really like it. Do you need advice? Because sometimes like I get nervous. I'm sure other people do, like going up and talking to people for advice, or like getting a mentor. Like how do you like recommend you like go around it? Or like you address that?
Well, I'll give a plug to Evo Nexus here. Everyone should check out Evo Nexus's website, and they have all the events there. They have mentorship hours about once a month. I don't know the schedule. Yeah, Austin runs it too. But yeah, I mean, from any industry, from design to programming to business, marketing, they have people that are in the C-suite to ex-entrepreneurs that are, done and retired that come in and give advice. And so a lot of it, tell you the truth, is on you to come out and find those programs that are available. And to tell you the truth, like almost every city I've been involved with, there's always those kind of events around. So what it is happening in San Diego, it's definitely happening in the Bay Area in LA. I know it's also happening in like Austin and Phoenix and other of these growing startup communities. So it's, there's always events where you can go out and there's people waiting to give you their advice.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, show up. Like, it's sad for me when I say, how did you went to the tech crawl last night? And it's like, one person in the back, right? Like, it's like if you show up, there's so many amazing people. There's so many people working on cool stuff. You'll run into so many people, and it'll just be serendipitous that you'll find really good stuff. I see a lot of head shaking. That's from people that went to the events last night, right?
Yeah, I'd say in the workplace too, to Brian's point, don't be scared of, folks if their sort of title is bigger than yours or anything like that. I think finding ways to interact and become part of it, we all love it. People like to bloviate, as well as, we'd like to believe that whenever we bring someone on, we're making a real investment in them and in the relationship, and so part of that is finding the time. So I think there's some good tips to do that well. As, it's certainly, reading when things are crazy. You just sort of walk randomly, to someone's desk when they've got their headphones on.
I do that a lot to Daniel all the time. Daniel knows this.
And they're cranking. But you've got, so one thing is if you're known as someone that just gets stuff done and picks it all up, it's very easy to carve out time because it's, say, hey, I know you saved me 3.5 hours yesterday on this task, and so the idea of giving you back 20 minutes of that to answer a question or walk you through something stupid is easy, right? The ROI is great. I'd also say taking time to sort of use those, whether it's coffee in the morning or lunch or anything like that. Everybody takes breaks. Everyone needs to shut their brain off, and sort of timing those well and making sure you're doing enough of them. I think that's another thing that when you're good about setting expectations early. When you think about, hey, what do I want to do over the summer? To say, hey, one of the things I'd like to do is take all the co-founders out to lunch at some point, right, and learn about their story, or be clear about, hey, this is the passionate thing that I want to learn to do right now, or do I want to learn and do it 10 years, and make it. And it's easy to find time and to make that work.
Yeah, I agree with Spencer. Being in Daniel too. Being in EvoNexus has helped me to meet really awesome people, and through that I selectively Google them and see if they're the right fit to be my mentor and things like that. And I help them vet me out as well. And I think one of the things that I think helped me to get mentors more easily than other people is the fact that I'm very curious about who they are as a person. What kind of personal values do you have? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Because everyone's always developing. So it's not just about me getting the mentorship, but how do I help you be a fulfilling mentor? How do I have you have a good experience mentoring me? Because time is very, very important, and there's really not that much time in entrepreneurship and things like that. So I want to make sure that this is worth my time and your time. So yeah, setting the expectation and everything like that, and being curious.
Yeah, I would say just ask them, because they've all been in your shoes too. They've all been interns. They know how it feels like to be on that side. That's how they got there. And the way to get there is to learn. And they know you as an intern, your first priority is learning. And so just don't be scared to ask them. And yeah.
Well, I think with that we can just kind of call it. And let's kind of grab, I guess I'll talk a little bit real briefly. You guys want to talk about EvoNexus since it's been mentioned a couple of times?
So I'm Michelle Kirstead. We're with a program in San Diego called EvoNexus, which is an incubator for tech startups. A lot of people might not know what an incubator is, but you can think of it as a program that helps support and launch startups. We're a pro bono incubator. We're a nonprofit, so we don't take any equity. There's no fee to be a part of our program. We do a lot of different things to help startups and entrepreneurs get up and going and grow their business to a point, hopefully, will become a company and be successful. So we are accepting applications now. If any of you are aspiring entrepreneurs, come talk to us. We do a lot of events, so even if you're just kind of interested in getting into the startup scene, we'd love to help you navigate the waters of the San Diego startup scene. Or even if you're just looking to connect with somebody that might be able to give you some feedback or advice, we'd be happy to help try to find that person for you. So we'll be around, we'll be here. We know a lot of the startups that are here too, so come talk to us.
Yeah, we have a meetup group, EvoNexus Startup Incubator. We host a lot of fun entrepreneur events. Entrepreneurs are always looking for interns, so don't be scared to come and check them out. And if you are kind of nervous to check out the startup scene, you can come find one of us, reach out to us. We'd be happy to intro you to individuals at the events.
Okay, so a couple quick things. Is Neil and Stefan in the room?
They went to grab
Neil's
food.
over there.
I just wanted to thank him.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, guys. So, you guys, if you get a chance today, swing by, and there's a guy with an Attack IQ shirt. Okay, anyway. You want to thank them. They put this event on. It's a lot of work to kind of try to rally students from a lot of different campuses to come to one place to pick a bunch of startups, to put them in front of you. It takes a lot of effort. Make sure to thank them for their time. It's really important. Thank you again to UCSD for hosting us. I'm going to say a couple things. So how this is going to go today. First, we're going to do company intros. So the companies are going to stand up here kind of in a row, and they're going to tell you what their company does really briefly. And then they're going to tell you what they're looking for, what types of roles they're looking to hire. And then we're going to spread out around this kind of building. So there's actually, I think, like 6 companies in this room, like 6 companies in the room across the way, and like 10 companies in the room over there. And then it'll be more like a fair. But I would be very kind of keen on what they're going to say immediately to try to figure out which ones would be a fit for you, and kind of focus on going to those guys. So there'll be food that's coming around 12 for everybody. And other than that, there's a bunch of other events happening today. So after this event, there's actually a mentorship event downtown, and it is specifically for you guys. It's for students to meet successful entrepreneurs and just have kind of what we're calling like a speed dating event, right? You're going to meet with them, talk to them about even the idea that you might have, or what would the next steps be, or maybe something about your career. If you're not signed up for that, come talk to me, because I'll get you signed up for that, and it will probably be able to get you a free Uber ride down there. So if you're interested in doing that, it'll be really fun. This is one of the, in terms of, we do this event all the time for startups, meeting with kind of successfully exited entrepreneurs, just to kind of connect the right people. We're opening this one up specifically for students by fellow founders, just to give you guys access to this program to get a taste of it. So we'd love for more students to join. We have more spots. Please come talk to me. What else do I got to say? After that, there'll be a foosball tournament downtown at one of the startups. Everyone's willing to join. This is going to be fun and games. And then there's a demo night, and then there'll be an after party. You can go to any of these, none of them, your call. But just like we said earlier, it's really important to get plugged into the ecosystem to see what's happening. So with that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Startup Convergence is this week that we're putting on right now. Like I said, it's really trying to build the entrepreneurial community and kind of hopefully plug the students back in. And this is a group made for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. So it's just a group of entrepreneurs that came together and said, you know, we're not getting paid to do this. We're all just volunteering our time to build the community, because if we want to start companies in this town, we want to make it an awesome place to start a company. With that, we have, you know, we work a lot with EvoNexus. They're awesome. I would definitely recommend applying if you're a student company and you're thinking about that. There's been some really good successes out of this school that went through that, like Hush and Portfolio. And we also do the Domain Expert Hours, the Mentor Hours, Poker Nights, CEO Forums. We do all this fun stuff. All of it's free for the right people. I think that's basically it, right? Any other thing that I missed? Cool. Neil, Stephen, one of the two?
Neil!
Are we ready for the companies?
Yeah.
Okay.